Welcome to Chapter 3 of the cannabis graphic novels based on Moby Dick that I should be writing right now. And Chapter 3 is where things really start to pick up, because our narrator, Jasper, is hitchhiking through California and gets picked up by a van full of traveling kids, which are those kids who follow around Grateful Dead, tend to have a lot of weed, go jogging for gas. This particular van had 14 people in it, along with 8 dogs. A bunch of them being puppies who were not at all housebroken. So it was a fun ride, and even took a detour through the redwood forest, got real high. It was beautiful, and it spoke to where we were at in the story anyway, because we are about to introduce Fitzhugh Ludlow. This is the excellent biography of him, and then his famous book is the annotated it's called The Hashish Eater. This is an annotated version of it. But The Hashish Eater is the first amazing book written about cannabis. There have been some previous things, like by a guy called John Greenleaf Whittier, but really you could say Fitzhugh Ludlow was the first American drug writer. And he was an experimenter from the very beginning. He worked in a pharmacy, just started taking whatever drugs were on the shelves, and a new one came in. Cannabis was just starting to get into the drugstores, and it came in, and he started taking it. And you have to remember that at this point, people are eating cannabis. It's much more strong when you eat it. The Delta 9 THC gets converted to Delta 11 THC by your liver, which is 5 to 7 times more psychoactive. And so people in this day who were drinking or eating large amounts of cannabinoids were getting way, way more high than your average stoner is today. And so you're talking psychedelic level trips. This guy was experienced with opium, and it was that kind of level of overwhelmingness. Cannabis can absolutely be a psychedelic. And so these traveling kids I was with pointed to that lesson that Fitzhugh Ludlow brought out about set and setting and how much it matters where you are. One of the first times he got super high, he was in a friend's house surrounded by their kids and just got that fear like, am I being weird? And you know how weird that gets. And he had no idea. No one else was writing about hashish at the time. He had to figure out all of this stuff on its own. And that's why this is just such a fantastic book, because it is as applicable today as it was when it was written 150 years ago. And so the last thing I say in this chapter is, I will promise you every harm about this plant. We will get into all the great benefits that we've all heard about and many more that you haven't, and how it works, but there are a lot of harms around cannabis. They might be mild and moderate in most cases, but they need to be shared. And throughout our 135 chapters together, I will bring out every harm I've ever found in 10 years of looking at this plant. And we will end with the epigram, which is from Psalms 107, verses 23 through 24, if you want to open your books now. They that go down to the sea in ships, that do business in great waters, these see the works of the Lord and his wonders in the deep.